Award-winning journalist and mom of two, Caroline Clark, discovered 12 years ago that her birth mother was Nat King Cole's daughter.
And she's written a poignant memoir, Postcards from Cookie, about discovering her biological mother and developing a relationship with her through postcards. Caroline, welcome to the couch. There you are, looking so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Well, this is just a fascinating story. So tell us about the decision to write the book.
You know, it was a very grand departure for me. I'm a business journalist, and I had written a business book. This is such a personal story, but I'm a huge adoption advocate, and I wanted to write a story in tribute to all of my parents, and really in tribute to the institution of adoption, because I think it still gets a bad rap a lot of the time, and it's the best thing that ever happened to me.
Talk about how important it was for you to find your biological origin, you know, where you came from.
You know, what's interesting is that I went looking for medical information. I had had some minor ailments for a long time. I had young children. I was worried about what I could be handing down to them. So I didn't go in search of my birth family. I went in search of my medical history, which was all I knew I could get by law. And I got this report, and it gave me some medical information, but it described my birth family at the time I was born. Very basic information. My mother, what she looked like, what her siblings' ages were at the time I was born, sort of painted a picture of this family that clearly was of means. And I recognized the family. I have been friends with my birth mother's sister since college. So I knew the family, and only because of that I was able to recognize them.
Can you talk about that moment, though, of discovery? Because there are so many people who would really love to have that.
Yeah.
Were you alone? What happened?
I was alone. I went into my agency, which is here in New York City, just to get medical information. It was the middle of a workday. I expected really nothing. What were the chances they were even going to be able to give me that? And this social worker there gave me a 7-page report. And she read it. She wouldn't just hand it to me, which I really would have preferred. So I sat and listened as she painted this picture. And I didn't realize in the moment, but I walked out of that agency on 96th Street, Spence Chapin. I walked up to Madison Avenue. I got in my car, and before I got on the FDR, I knew. It just hit me. Nothing like that has ever happened to me, and I didn't think anything like that ever would. I do describe it in the book. As you know, we all imagine that moment when you win the lottery or you meet your child for the first time. It was just one of those unbelievable earth-shaking moments.
Were there tears? What was it?
There was everything. There was me yelling in the car to no one in particular. There were tears. My heart was pounding. And I called the agency because, you know, I sort of pieced it together, but you think, no, this can't really be true. And I immediately called from my car. I pulled over. I got the social worker on the phone, and I said, you know, let me just tell you what I know, who I know. Here's what I know. Here's my girlfriend's name. She's the sister of Natalie Cole. Her father was Nat King Cole. Do I now know who my birth mother is? And she said, I can't tell you. You know, policy, I can't tell you. And I said, okay. And I was about to hang up the phone, and she said, I would just encourage you to trust your instincts.
Wow.
And so I knew.
So then what was your first contact like with your biological mother?
Oh, it was amazing. You know, I called her up. It took several weeks. I had to figure it out. I had to come to terms with it. I had to talk to my parents. You know, like I said, I didn't go searching for my birth family, and I really wouldn't have, because I adore my parents and my extended family. I have the best family in the world. I always felt like I was exactly where I was meant to be, even though I knew I was adopted. And so I was concerned about how my parents would feel. I was concerned about, you know, my husband, even my in-laws.
Right.
So I sort of laid all that groundwork and took several deep breaths, and then I called her in the middle of a work day, and it was a phenomenal call. It was 2 hours of us, you know, getting to know each other, and her being shocked, I'm sure.
But why postcards?
She lived in LA, 3,000 miles between us. She hates to fly, doesn't fly. And it's 3,000 miles. That's Cookie.
Yeah.
And you know, and I had young children at the time, and so it wasn't like we were going to be able to see each other that often.
There wasn't Skype, there wasn't really...
Right.
Well,
exactly,
I mean, yeah,
there wasn't back then. It's true. We emailed, but we were both really old school. I'm a writer. And she was not a writer, but she was a very natural writer, and so we started writing. And at USPS, thank God for them, because we really developed our relationship largely through the mail. And she was a postcard fanatic, and I have now, I'm sure, more than 1,000 postcards from her, and she's genius at it. I would love to be able to share all those postcards with everyone, because she was really just great at it.
Well, it's an unbelievable book, and really, we just can't thank you enough for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Caroline Clark's book, Postcards from Cookie, it's available now at bookstores, and we hope you pick it up. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Thank you.
What a
We appreciate
story.
it. Yeah,
Thanks.
wonderful.